Thank you, Paul, for the introduction. And of course, massive thanks to Alan. Alan and I have known each other over the years, and I really appreciate his opportunity to him and I to meet and have connection and talk about the technology and how things are evolving. And when he asked me to pop in again and talk with the group, I couldn't move fast enough to make sure I could jump in and do it. Um, so I'm happy to be here. And after listening to everybody's conversation just now, I feel like, wow, everyone's really up the game. So it's really interesting to see how things have been advancing in the technology space, and particularly around just the customer experience space. So I was just going to go through and just talk about kind of a little bit of our journey and how we've kind of layered some parts of technology, but also probably go against the grain where most people think like the larger, big types of technologies and capabilities, you bring them in to kind of do everything for you. I'm kind of on the other side of the coin. I like giving the small guys a chance and the small girls a chance to come into the space. So we've really developed an integrated solution that really helps kind of bring things to life, but also become that signal that's out there. And I'm sure you're all, it's almost tiring now to hear people go AI, AI, everything. Everybody's about AI. So, but I'll try to temper that some more. Just kind of talk about just kind of the journey that we've taken and how we've been trying to be a little more purposeful in how we're using it and not so much going just kind of crazy with it. So what Paul said kind of led in with Foo Fighters. So I kind of took the theme of a little Foo Fighters. So just why does it matter? Why does AI matter? It's always about the best of you, and how you can get the best of things that are coming out of it. And then getting stuck in the AI spiral. It's so much that's out there, and how can when you get stuck into that and trying to get yourself out of it. Uh, Talking about just taking that big leap and how we did that as a team and how we made that major step forward. And then just also trying to sound a little bit normal in a room when everyone else thinks that when you're trying to like yell from the silo and people aren't listening to you because you're just not bringing the right information forward or resonating it well. Just talk about kind of how we've done that and also the results that we've got from the work that we've done in our little shop that's here. I work for BCLC, which is British Columbia's Lottery Corporation. We are a crown corporation. We are a segment of the government. And I know when you think government, you think fast, innovative, cutting edge. That's all the things you think of when you think government. Well, not so much. So government does not move that fast, but I believe with the organization that I work with today, they're kind of changing that a lot, which is really good. And I think it's really nice to see that taking hold within the organization and trying to move forward in the way that we do. So why does it matter? Why does all this work that we try to put into AI, why does it matter, and why does it matter for CX? And I think that one of the things that continues to move is the expectations of our customers, and that's customers, whether they're internal employees, whether they're external players or customers, they're across the board. Their expectations rise more and more. One thing that we used to always talk about internally was trying to limit the amount of channels that our players could talk to us. And I was on the opposite side saying we shouldn't funnel people to where we want them to be. We should give them the option to come to anywhere they want to. And we should be there to support them because when we try to push people into certain channels, they're going to be more apt just to run away. The volume has continued to increase. The complexity of the work continues to increase. And I'm sure, like my company is the same as yours, there's nothing they like better than just to give you more people when you ask and more money when you
Right.
ask. Please give me more. Just nonstop. Just like thousands of people. Absolutely not. Nobody wants to give a dime. So, how do you make this kind of work and mash in today's world? And how do you do it without with trying to increase that efficiency while not increasing your headcount? And I think that one of the ones I heard a vendor say the other day, it's like, well, we bring in AI, it'll help take away a lot of the easy ones and reduce your handle time. I'm like, well, you might want to go back to your sales book because by reducing the easy work, you're actually going to increase my handle time because all you're leaving me is the hard things to do. And he's like, oh, that's a good point. I'm like, that's exactly right. So, but it shouldn't be about always that. It's about how do you just give the focus and really get people to focus their energy in the right way. And that shift from reactive to proactive, which is always the hardest shift to do. As I've always said, we become a lot of firefighters, and I think we need just to do better at getting to be a fire preventer. And how do we do that? We didn't build more fire halls. We taught people how to prevent them more by giving them fire alarms, smoke detectors, do their houses properly. They didn't just build more fire halls to get there. So, and how do you keep to scale those to make them happen? Probably like you have many different solutions. I call it the Helen Hunt model. Anybody know the joke that's in there? If you want to find some information, go to hell and hunt for it. That's what it feels like. You go to every different type of information. I got to go here and get the voice data, and I got to go here and get some survey data, and I got to take them and try to stitch together something that tells me a story so I can go back, and then somebody asks a question. Well, then I got to go back and then pull out of the social media. So I'm sitting there trying to pull all this stuff together to try to stitch a story. I could have AI solutions all across the board, but it's hard to try to get them to all talk and all to sync together. And I know what you're saying is, Martin, this is a great picture of why you need a large solution. And I still say, no, it's not, because it gets really difficult when you get into large solutions. I want to be nimble. I want to be fast. I want to be quick. So how can I do that in an environment that doesn't cost me, every time I turn around, it's going to cost me $200,000 to do so, which is really quite painful. So what we want to do is really, when we look at it, is trying to look at the model of how we can still be proactive in our approach, but also be reactive in what was happening, what was monitoring, but also have the foundation proper of how we're working. And that really comes back to the people and the technologies that we use, and how do we use those from a foundational standpoint to really build what we want, but also turn around and continue to pull all this insight in and continue to do that, that can really take us to the next level. We could AI across the board and go crazy. My CIO, Mark Goldberg, he started a couple of years ago. I really liked his analogy. He's like, in the world, you have cowboys in AI, and you have the people who are basically inert. I don't like it. It scares the hell out of me. And everybody's like, yeah, let's AI everything. And him and I think completely alike, because I'm more about, I was starting to get in the cowboy world when we started, but I'm like, let's try to take a step back and just be a little more focused and be more determined on where we want to put our energy and where we want to leverage it. Because when you try to AI everything, not only does it create a scare across your workforce, it also gets you into a spot where you hit that AI spiral and you start to spiral a little bit more out of control. So we want to be more about being more purposeful in where we put our attention. So the thing that we really wanted to focus on, and I forgot to remove the company name, so please don't take the company names for granted. But it's really about, I look at it in the world of technology as layering. How do we layer data on top of data on top of data that continues to tell us the information that we're getting and how we're doing it? Someone comes to you and says, you should use a Salesforce CRM tool to pull all your insight. And that should give you the direction of where you want to go. I say, false. That is not really a good source of information, and probably the worst source of information if you want to understand what's happening out in your players or your customers and what's going on. The Salesforce CRM tool is I call it the newspaper reporting of an interview that took place. So much information got left behind, and the agent only put in the one issue that came up, not the seven other things that were talked about on the call. So it's an important piece of the puzzle, but not the determining factor of everything. So how do we continue to layer those things over top of each other to make sure we're getting all the insight that we want? But also then, how do we continue to layer on things that we know are huge impacts and connect the data across those different touch points to make sure that we can pull them out, whether it's sentiment analysis, whether it's journey flagging about the things that are taking place, or understanding different interaction levels and how they're taking shape. We continue to pull those in across all our different dynamics to really give people on the front line the tools from a dashboarding capability to be able to tell how they're doing and where they're going. It layers up and gives a team leader the information to understand how their team is performing and what is going on. And then also, as you scale it back up, it gives executives in the C-suite the ability to understand what's happening and where it's happening. The last launch I just did, I actually have this now at the C-suite level, where they can now go into an application where they can ask it any question it wants, and it'll tell you the information, the trend of what's happening. So it's no more hidden in a silo, hidden in the back room that only if you knock 3 times will we give you the information. It now gives them the ability to go in and type anything they want, ask it of the AI engine, it'll generate the information that they want to understand the issues of what's happening. And we did it all going through, and as you saw, there's a lot of different technologies that are in there. We wanted to be innovative in our approach, but also use the lovely world of API connection points to connect things together. Use source of truth to connect them together, and also leverage a lot of what the smaller guys are doing and girls in the field to be able to help push us in the right direction. Yes, we have a couple of big fish. We got into some big fish when they were smaller fish. So now they've become big fish. So now it gets really hard to be that nimble type of approach of what you want to do. And the parts become a lot more interchangeable for us, where we can take segments out and pop a new one in with ease, pull this one over here. Because if they advance faster, we're able to pull them in quicker to be able to do that. It has bred a lot of innovation across the different teams on how we work and how we adapt to the changing environment and the world that we're going in. So really it just moves us into the integration world of ease. This would be a beautiful picture. Everything integrates well. So within it, we've built in layers of the CRM data, but also our voice data, our chat data, our CMS data, and as well as social media data. So we're bringing all that in and it's developing a bigger picture for us to be able to see what is happening, whether it's within a casino somewhere down in the lower mainland. We're able to tell if a player's having an issue down there that we can actually draw attention to faster and quicker and actually see that and pull that and put it as part of a journey and put it as part of a journey map. By bringing a lot of the information forward into different AI tools, we're able to bubble up into our CRM teams and our marketing teams where they can see things that are falling flat, whether it's a promotion aspect of it or a new marketing segment that they're pushing out. Probably one of the biggest pain points a lot of you on the call feel when marketing's going out and pushing out these new things, and everybody like, I had no idea this was going, or it's not going well. We're able to bubble that back up into product teams now where it's not hidden. It doesn't require me to make a phone call. They're able to go in, see the issues that are happening, and address them faster so that the reactionary part is done, but we're actually able to pull it back in and see from a proactive standpoint where we're able to do it. So in the Foo Fighters world, how do you become my hero? Now we become the smarter person when we walk in the room. It took us a long time to get a seat at the table so people would stop going, oh, look, here comes Martin. He's just going to complain about the customer again. Yeah, the customer. It's really interfering with my ability to launch a new product. Well, now I can say, hey, look, here's what's happening with our players today. I can actually pull in play data to be able to tell people how it's working and show you that actually this impact had a detrimental impact to the playability of some of our players that are going on today. And we become a lot more visible in what we're doing and how we're doing it. The old days of quality monitoring, I don't know if anybody's doing that today, of your 2 calls per agent per week. It's so 1992. So it doesn't tell you anything. It's not even statistically valid. Never liked the process in my whole time of doing this. Now we do 100% evaluations. We do it across the board. We can see what's happening, when it's happening in near real time, which I love that terminology now. It happens almost right away where we can see that information, be able to cascade that out, see that insight that's happening, when it's happening, and how do we continue to build on that. So what else has it done? It's actually taken people that were in inbound customer support because now we're seeing it more often. We can be more proactive in our approach. We now shifted people more into being outbound support where we're driving more connection and more value to our higher value players about the monies and the time and energy they spend with us, but also we're being able to identify issues quicker and be ahead of it before actually people are calling us in. Through a lot of our outbound campaigning that we're doing, we're actually fixing issues for players who didn't bother to call us in yet. But we noticed that their play had dropped off through the connection of our systems. We saw a slowdown in their play, so we reached back out and said, "Hey, Ken, notice that things have slowed down for you a little bit. Are things going all right? Is there anything we can do to kind of help you with that experience?" And you're like, "Well, I've been having problems with my location services. It hasn't been working well for me." "Oh, it hasn't, has it? Well, let's see if we can get you back on. Let's get that. I'm sorry that you've gone through that, and we can actually build that relationship back up and really bring players back in where they just won't become the second or third option for them." So it's really helped build up that whole part of our relationship with our players. And we've seen it across the board. We see our CX scores up in the 90s now. We moved our NPS now 45 points plus and continues to grow. And we're still doing it through deflection rates. And our employees actually really love the fact. It was a hard transition from the AI world into today. When they first started getting into it, hence we started on the cowboy journey. Now that we've kind of slowed that down now, and now they're involved in what we're doing and how we're utilizing it, and they've now score us 90% or higher in that. Is the tools that they have more effective? Does it make them more effective in their job? And does it help improve their experience overall? And it's helped to kind of magnify that along the way. Our impact is a lot bigger now. The exec want to know every time things are going on. They give us the call first, which is really nice to see. We're a seat at the table when things are happening in the organization. And even our board chair loves it from the stuff that we've been doing and what they've been able to see themselves. And that's been kind of going along. And one more thing on our employees, it's changed their thought and the way that they view it. From the old QA model, we have QA teams that were very focused on the evaluations of certain people. Now that we changed them from a QA team, we've changed them into a CX team, and they've taken it upon themselves to be more macro focused because the tools that they have now, they can see the larger picture. And now instead of them being pinpointed on specific individuals, they've been more focused on the larger group. And how can we take larger groups of people and move them in the right direction, not just being so macro focused on the individual. And it's really helped our teams from an insight standpoint. They've really shifted how we focus on results and how we drive results, which is a whole other thing I could talk about. It's about changing what they look at. So we're not driving a number. We're more focused on the behaviors we want to see and the behaviors that people show and how they work and how they build relationships with their customers, which they see through all the sentiment analysis that's coming to them. They're able to make the call better, which then in turn is making it for faster calls and better results. We never say, hey, Paul, you need to start achieving a 90% CX score this month, and I want to see your handle time at 8 minutes. That's just happening because they're more invested and they get the feedback back about how things are going, and they're not looking at a number. They're trying to show the better behaviors because that's been what we're looking for more, which has really helped. And it's less metrics chasing and more behavior chasing because people are more in it to win it. And we've seen the last one, which is the big one, because I talked about staffing in the beginning. You can't get it. We've seen about a 20% increase in our volumes year over year, and we've added no staff, which has been part of the real everyone really loves that when I get to say that to the finance team. So, yay, finance. Just a shout out to my boys and girls in finance. And that's it. Thank you.